type into Google shows what is most on our collective mind. This month alone, there have been billions of searches. LaToya Drake follows those for Google. She is with me now. LaToya, great to see you back.
You as well.
I am sure that the stock market crashed. Questions about the stock market had to be pretty high up there.
Yes, exactly. The stock market was one of the hottest, most searched topics of the month. In 6 days, to put this into context for everyone, the U.S. stock market lost over $2 trillion in value. And so people were really curious to why this could happen. We know that that's related to the economic slowdown in China. So many of the questions that we saw, people were wondering what's happening in China. Why did the stock market crash in China? Why did they devalue their currency? Really looking to get some understanding to how this could impact what's happening in the States.
Okay, so before I ask you what questions were put in about China, Chinese market, Chinese economy, what was coming up for the U.S.? Because a lot of traders made a reference to Black Monday, which was back in 1987.
No, exactly. Black Monday was one of the topics that people were curious about. And to put a little historical context around that, we also saw people asking what happened in 1987, and then fast forward to today, asking what is Black Monday, when was it, again, how much the stock market dropped.
So people were looking for these comparison points, these contextual points, and again, for people who weren't around and trading at that time, what caused that 1987 stock market crash? I like the last one though, the best. Is today Black Monday?
Yeah.
Well, if you lost a lot of money, the answer, in short,
perhaps
is
for
yes. All right. Now, one of the reasons that we have been talking about, part of the selling, is pessimistic or slightly less optimistic outlook on the growth for China. So a lot of concerns about the Chinese economy slowing. What were the questions that came up most in reference to that?
Again, and many people, when we saw the drop for the U.S., people didn't, or some people didn't have a reference point. So when we looked at what was happening in China, of course, you saw the curiosity questions. When does the market open? Knowing that Black Monday happened, but also, why is the market down? Again, what is it called? Those curiosity questions.
Like the Shanghai comp is probably what people were looking for.
And then what happened and why did China devalue its currency?
Which is very much a big part of the story. All right, so moving away from the stock market to the market for goods and services, Ashley Madison, tons of PR trouble, starting with a hack. What were people looking for most? What kinds of questions were they putting in?
That's exactly right. And the Ashley Madison data breach actually saw sustained interest throughout the month. When it happened, there was curiosity. But when those hackers put that personal information up for some 32 million customers, that's when we saw an uptick in action. And as you can imagine, curiosity around who's on the list. Everyone's nosy, wants to know where the list is. And then an interesting question at the bottom. Who is Ashley Madison and how do you search for the list?
Okay, and recent data even saying that, you know what, a lot of those listings were false. We know the company is fielding numerous class action lawsuits for the data breach, as you mentioned, and then also for misrepresenting its own product. So chances are there'll still be some searches next month for Ashley Madison.